high-end knives, I think you would want to do repair work and then continue the finished edge on a stone of some sort, whatever your favorite stone happens to be. I believe that's where you have a great point to this right here. It will get your work done. You got a chip and a blade, it will take care of that or whatever and get you right there. And then you can finish it somewhere else to get you that real edge you're looking for. Because I just don't think you're going to maintain your angle properly with that much flex on this one. Now, maybe the professional is a little different. I don't know. Another thing, see, it's changing angles and everything seems fine on that. Let's leave it on that 20 degree. Things that I have noticed is when you get in here with a small blade like this. Let's go ahead and take the belt off so you can see kind of where I'm at here. So when you get in here with the knife and you're following this edge down, now you do have something back here. If you'll notice, you have a pad that's kind of like a tit sticking out here, about that much. But then the rest of the bevel does continue in the back here. So while your knife is in here, it's easy to maintain that edge and follow that bevel as you come back. But once you leave it at this point, you're unsupported completely and you have to maintain until that last little bit you're on the belt and you release so it'll stop on the tip. And so that is some practice that you're going to need to do, is to follow that edge bevel and maintain it as you draw to a stop here on the belt with the tip. That's going to be your practice that you need to maintain, and you need to learn how to do that. Now, I do have some very minute scratches on this bar. I don't know what this stuff is. It looks like plastic, seems like plastic, but it don't cut like plastic. So I'm really impressed by this bar because I was putting way too much pressure, I believe, down on that guide. I believe what you should maintain, that when you come down in here and you're touching your guide, which it doesn't matter on this little ramp right here, you can put this part of the blade here on the guide. That's fine. It'll just follow it down as you draw through. But the main thing is to hold it in place at the same angle, drawing straight back, and don't get catawampus like this or doing like this. And there's more about that. We'll talk about the blades in just a minute that you need to watch out for. But that's, I think, your main thing, is drawing straight through. Once you get a hang of that, this right here is more than adequate, in my opinion, for kitchen knives, everyday stuff that you work with all the time, but not your show knife or your precision knife or something of that nature. I feel like that knife is going to take a little bit more work. Once you try to repair the edge here on your medium and fine grits, unless it's super damaged, then you go to the coarse and follow on down. But once you get to the fine grit, I think you're at the point that you can put this in a vise and get one of those other sharpeners, maybe the Work Sharp precision sharpener that I have, is probably where I would take and finish that edge. But I probably wouldn't go to a coarse unless I went way too long on a knife before I actually tried to sharpen it or damaged. The medium grit, if I just let it go way too long, that's where I'll start. If I'm just trying to touch it up, then I would start with the fine grit, hit that a few times, and then get it on a whetstone or get it in that precision sharpening vise and go from there. So you do have some flex in the machine like this right here. And that's okay in my opinion. You're on a belt anyway, and so you're not against a rigid surface, and that's another thing that helps with the heat. So on these smaller knives with the thinner blades, about 4 passes and it was starting to get hot. So I would probably stop it at 4 passes, let it cool a little bit, and then go on. I don't think it's going to get too hot, but the coarser your grit is, the hotter it's going to get, I believe. And this is all on low speed. So I believe that, hit it about 4 times on each side, let it cool. I can still touch it with my fingers, so I think it's in great shape still. And then pick up again with a few more passes. I don't think I went, I'd have to count them, but I don't think I went over 7 passes on each side of the blade. It does push a burr over significantly. One of the knives, I did notice that when I did, more than 3 passes on it, it would actually, the whole bevel was over here, and there was no bevel left over here. Then I went on this side and did the same thing. The whole bevel was over here, and there was no edge bevel over here. So I was really just pushing the edge bevel back and forth. So I was removing more material because that was just a softer blade. So you're going to have to watch for stuff like that. I would do 3 passes and look at your edge. Make sure that you're not just pushing that edge bevel from side to side. And so that's the things that I would watch out for with the sharpener. It doesn't go too fast. It's not going to burn your blades unless you just hold it on there. I believe the duller the knife is, the slower you want to drag. But you don't want to go too slow. You saw me in the videos kind of follow that procedure, and I think you'll be fine until you get to a really thin blade. You can see the thicknesses on these blades. I don't know what the thicknesses are, but they're decently thick blades. Not as thick as what you'd see on pocket knives and stuff, but they still got some thickness to them. So what about the knife blades? So this one right here, if you look at that, it does flex, but that's still a pretty rigid blade with all of that surface area against that guide. When I got up here, I was able to pull it all the way back and everything was perfectly fine. The blade, I wasn't flexing it anywhere, any which way or how. This one right here is a pretty solid blade. You can see how rigid it is. It's even more rigid than this. So what I'm pointing out here is your shorter blades are going to tend to be more rigid and maintain their shape as you pull them through, coming through this portion right here, than your longer blade. So even though this is a heavy blade, it's still more flexible because of the length of the blade. Then you got this one, which is almost a fillet knife. It's just been sharpened so much over the years that it has gotten this thin. It was not originally this thin. It was much thicker, but you can see the flex you got. And on this blade right here, as I pulled through, I would see that I would end up kind of like that right there to a certain extent. So that tip was flexing over somewhat. So watch for that. When you come out of this guide right here, your tip is unsupported and it may flex a little bit. So especially on these longer blades and any of these blades that have more flex, you want to watch for that. Then on this knife right here, you can see that it is a very sharp blade. It's been sharpened a lot, but it's very flexy. So the steel is a very soft, flexy steel. And that tip being that sharp, I had real issues to watch it once I come in here and the tip was no longer supported. It wanted to flex that tip a lot. And so you could end up just taking the tip completely off of your knife. So you want to watch your blade steel. The shorter the blade is going to tend to be the more rigid blade, except in some cases it will still be a flexy blade. So you want to try to compensate for that. The other thing that I had noticed, even sharpening a damaged blade that the tip was bent, I could still get it sharpened out there to the tip, but I had to watch. And so if you look at these tips, you can see how you're coming up through here, and then I got a little bit of burr left in there. I just moved it over with my finger. Anyway, so you want to, let's just do this as an example. Let's just play with knives here. So as you're coming through, you want to come through, and as you come down here, just slowly lift the knife. Stop. If you're on the belt, stop the machine, then take your tip out. But you want to take and just come down smooth, straight across, and then slowly lift as you come across that bevel. Like that right there. That's your goal. That's where you're going to have to develop some muscle memory and some technique in using this machine, and I think you can get a really good tip. And so that's where you're wanting to watch that edge bevel. If you don't, then you'll get a bevel going straight across, and it'll just be down through here, and you get what you get from the belt making contact, but it's not actually following the contour of the edge bevel. So that's a few things that you want to look at, that you want to work on to try to do better with this machine. I think it's very usable, functional. I think it is a good tool to have in place, and a part that should be in anybody's arsenal. If you do a lot of cutting with your kitchen knives and you hate hitting a stone, this right here, you can't beat it. It's definitely gonna increase the sharpness of your blades, keep them sharp. And once you get them to that sharp level, then the medium at worst case and the fine at best case is you're just going to hit it on that every now and then, kind of like a strop. Kind of like they do on the butchers and the chefs do on the little shows, how they running the blade up and down across that little sharpener. That's all you're going to do on this right here, and you're done. And just a bunch of knives in a couple of minutes, and you're finished. And so you don't have to worry about them again. If you have a strop, I would have, of course, strop these knives afterwards, and I think that would just add to them. This is probably the only blade that would need any kind of stropping. Everything else, really, there's no burr left. There's a little bit left on this one, and that's it. So that's my take on the Work Sharp powered sharpener. What is it called? Oh, let me grab the box. Sharpener MK2. So the Work Sharp Sharpener MK2. There we go. That's the official name of this thing. So I think it's a good tool. I think it's one that would help you. I haven't tried it on anything rough and rugged like axes or machetes or anything like that, but I think Outdoors 55 did that, and he got good results. So what you're doing here, developing your technique on your knives here, I think you just pass it along to those and you can sharpen them just fine. Now again, if you're wanting to sharpen something like an axe or whatever, you can tilt it forward and use it in that form and fashion, and it'll work just fine. So I had debated about buying this and doing a video and then bringing it back, returning it, which I think about that, and that's probably wrong, so I wouldn't do it anyway. But at the same time, I don't want to. I'm going to keep it because this right here will save me a lot of time if I have a damaged blade that I want to bring back, and then or change the edge bevel. That's another thing. If you want to try to do a sharper edge, because this is set for a 20 or 25 degree, but that's following that. Do that straight across and you're at a sharper edge. You can vary it, figure out how you want to do. I can envision printing some little slivers of 3D printed something to make that, change that wedge to whatever angle I wanted to change it to. So there's potential, but I give it 2 thumbs up. Plain and simple, I say get one. So anyway, that's all I got. I enjoyed bringing it to you. I enjoyed doing this. Probably took too many sections. It's probably about an hour long by now in 3 or 4 different videos. But hopefully you can find the video that gives you the information you need. They'll be numbered and lettered and pointed towards one another, so you shouldn't have a problem finding them and checking out what you want in those particular videos. I thank you. I appreciate you. I enjoy spending time with you, and I will see you on the next one. Your time is very important to me, and I thank you for spending it here with me. Thanks, and God bless.